Hi. In a couple of other recordings, I shared how I was working with the HTTP patch method. We saw in one video the various methods we could use, the normal HTTP client with the post method using the patch override header. We also have a patch client connector. And I wanted to now show the HTTP REST client preview, tech preview connector. This is will be the connector we'll be using in the future. So I wanted to show you that. In this process, I actually had previously a post. So this was a normal HTTP post to implement the patch. And by the way, the patch method is just a method used to update a resource versus replace the entire resource. So we have, as I said, various ways to do it. We're looking at the REST connector. Here you have the connection that has various authentication methods. We'll use the bearer token, access token method for authentication for the website. This is all dictated by the web service. And then the operation, as you can see, we can use the patch. So we'll do that. But we'll also use the post as well. So as I said, I previously had used the HTTP client, and here we set in the content type. We have a dynamic document property for authorization that's been set. We also have an accept, where we accept any string, and then the content type application JSON. So we can see where I'll show you where this creates an actual user in this primary path. I've replaced that, however, with the REST connector, client connector, and the connection will look like this, where the endpoint is there. If we had different authentications other than what I stated, the barrier access token, we would specify variables here. And then we have the operation. And here the operation is similar to the HTTP client, but you do have a path variable here, which is important, and I'll show you why. This can be overridden by dynamic document property in the path variable. But if it's not specified, the path variable is not defined, then I'll show you where this will be taken. Also, another gotcha that I found is that if you typically we've had query parameters that has been an added feature to this. So I can show you where I included my request header parameters in the query parameters, and then with the help of Charles Proxy, a debug API tool, I was able to see my error and then move them to the appropriate settings here in the request header. So authorization is now set, the content, and the accept. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and we will first create the user. The user data is here. And then we will, in this particular patch, patch some data with the patch connector. And we won't look at that. There's another video that describes that. And then we will update the user data again with using the patch client. And here we have, and the REST client. And here we have the patch action that will be applied. So let me show you quickly some of my mistakes. So here we have where actual the request headers that I was trying to set on the REST client were actually added as query parameters. So you can see that because after the URL, the path was set, then you see the question mark, and then these parameters were set. So this is how you know that a query is actually being passed as part of the URL string. Okay, and so that failed because that's not how the web service anticipates the authentication to come in. It wants it in the headers versus the query string, and here you see no headers are set. Then to show you the other part, this is where I didn't have the path variable set, but I did have some bogus path here specified. So without the path variable set, then you will see it use whatever you have in that URL. And so that's what this was. And then it basically failed because this is not valid. This URL path is not valid. And then finally, um, I corrected everything, and you can see where now the post is being set with the URL. The authentication headers, content type, and accept are here. And then so we create a user, and then as we follow that, we see where the patch information is being updated. Okay, so let's run our test now so you can see this in live, and then we will show this. So here is a new user being created with this data input. Here's a user ID. This ID, and by the way, this was used with the REST client post method. So you can see the post here. Then we took that user, we used the patch connector to update it, and that's what I basically gave it the text to let me know what's working. So the patch connection worked, and then we used the REST to update the record here, and then we did a normal get, and then you can see that it used the last updated value, and then we deleted the resource. So hopefully that was helpful. A little longer than usual, but thank you for listening, and I hope it helps. Thanks.